Well, here we go again. And, well, apparently, since my last update, I updated Cubase 10.0.50 to 10.0.60. Something went terribly wrong. Now I'm in 10.5 who knows what. Let me see. Point 20. And I had to change the drum kit, but the rhythm is the same, so we can continue fairly well where we just stopped last time. And just let me see the some kind of messages here. I just got a message which I will share with anyone who's looking here. Ika Multimedia got generous again. For any Ike newsletter subscribers, they are giving away for free the classic clipper. I'm not sure if I already have it. If not, I'm going to. So thanks Abram for the message. And well, also as we all love audio software when free, at Plugin Boutique there is a giveaway where they give away the Trash 2 and the Carbon bundle. Trash 2 is a distortion by Isotope, and the Carbon is a heavy metal guitar plugin. You will receive this with any purchase on this page. They usually make this kind of treats to their users. So if you are interested in the software and you were considering any purchase anyway, you should include this in your shopping cart. They are really free and legit copies. So before I return now to everything what's happening here, let me see if my connections are right, because I can't hear myself again. Voice meter, okay, I guess I have to change the driver again here. Yep. Here we go. I can hear myself now. So everything is going to be fine. Just to find a sound check. We just failed. Oh, this is driving me nuts, really. And now I can't hear any audio from the okay, this I can hear, you can't. Fortunately, I will be able to erase any superfluous videos from the YouTube page, because as you can see here, nothing moves. Just let me turn off the control room, which is not necessary for this situation, and reroute the outputs. And here we go. Alright, well, this was quite an headache. So let's continue with this. Um, so just let's put the loop right on. Tempo is okay. And one last try for the old drum kit. No sound at all. This is very freaking strange. So, okay. So we will stick with this kit, and I'm going to continue with some beat making stuff right here. What we are going to see now is a technique which might be very, very useful to anyone who works with samples but prefers to use them in a different way. I'm going to talk about what we can do with what we call hit points. So let me just start a recording. Show recordings. Okay, here are these two videos. Okay, this one I shouldn't erase. This one I can. And now here we go. There is a technique inside Cubase which you will find in other DAWs too. In Pro Tools it is called Beat Detective, if I'm not wrong, and it is based on the technology and idea which comes from the Recycle software from Propellerheads. Recycle is a software which takes an audio file and cuts it up into different slices and tries to maintain those slices on the correct musical position, which allows us to change the rhythm, or to say it in another way, the speed of a drum loop without any artifacts, by inserting spaces between the beats or including overlapping some of the slices. Well, I could do a lot of talk about this, so I better show you what I'm talking about. The first time I do this will be for mere demonstration purposes, and after that I'm going to show you how to apply this step by step. So the first and only thing we need is some kind of beat. I'm going to look for a shorter loop, as this means simply less work for me. Okay, and for those who are not that familiar with the media bay, you can go step by step with the cursor keys to step through all the different loops you have, and here we do have the preview level to hear what we are about to select. Okay, to assure that only beats are available, I select beats here and continue to step through. I'm going to use this. This sounds a little granularized, which is not surprising because I'm in a project of 80 beats per minute, but this loop has an original tempo of 175. So it got stretched, and by stretching an audio beyond a certain point, it will begin to sound kind of metallic, which is actually a granular synthesis, which is used to auto accommodate the audio to the project. So I'm going to switch this function off right here. You may remember this goes by deactivating the musical mode inside the pool. So as you can see here, the loop is a lot shorter and also a lot faster. Okay, I'm not sure if this is a good choice, so let me see what else we do have. Okay, this looks promising. So let's have a look at this loop. Shift delete to delete a track, and here we do have now the track, and as usual it activated musical mode, but now we deactivated it, and by chance it just coincides with the tempo, which is all right. There is no major problem. Okay, well, the premise of every operation behind hit points of all, at least of the most of the operations, is that we do have some loops which do not coincide with the tempo of the project. So to make this intentionally, I'm going to fasten up this project to 90 beats per minute. The MIDI file won't have any problem because MIDI always auto accommodates. But as you can see here, the audio just got virtually a little longer. Virtually because in seconds it's the same duration, but musically speaking it's longer than the bar, and this has to be corrected, and we can use hit points to correct this. So I'm going to pass through this in a quick manner so you have seen it once, and after that I'm going to explain it step by step. The first thing we have to know about this loop is its tempo, and we have already seen the beat calculator for that, and beat calculator works by calculating how many beats we do have. Here we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just open the beat calculator right here, insert 4, and we can see that this loop is in 80 beats per minute. This is first condition and main condition to make this really work. So now we are sure that these 80 beats per minute are also recognized inside the pool, because this will be the base of our editing efforts. So 03 drums 01 is this one, and as we can see here it says 80 beats per minute, so it's perfectly okay, and we can continue. Now begins the hit point magic. We open the sample editor by double clicking it, and we might see this window. Depending on the version of Cubase you have, you will find some tabs here. The tab we are going to need is the hit point tab. And now the magic begins. We have to do the following. We have to do some cuts at every position where a new hit appears, a new hit inside this rhythm. And then we just re-accommodate those beats to their correct musical position. And everything will be working in a half automated way. So I activate the option edit hit points, and as you can see here does appear a horizontal line, which is the threshold, which we are using to detect the different beats or the different hits. So as you can see, virtually this drum loop is now sliced up. It's not really sliced up for the moment, but it is giving us an idea of how the slices will sound and where the cuts will be made. So you can make click here, and as we can hear at this very point, we do have a separation here with this line, which is simply too much. So I'm going to disable this point, and I'm going to listen it again. And as you can hear, we do have now a full bass drum here. And on the next slice, I have, I don't know what it is, another percussive instrument. And maybe this is again one hit point too much. So with shift click, let's open the magic window here, we can erase this hit point. This slice is clear. This is a hi-hat. This sounds like a tom. This is also perfectly fine. Here we do have a very scandalous snare drum, and here probably an offbeat. Let's hear this. Okay, these are actually two beats, so I have to assure that the second beat has its mark. So I just return this hit point and accommodate it a little bit. And I'm doing this now until the end of the loop. Okay, so now we have put some marks on every point where a new drum hit appears. And now I just select everything by Ctrl A and export this as slices. So what we now got here is some kind of a container which contains every beat, every hit of this drum beat. And as you can see, it already is accommodated to the tempo of the project. So let's hear the click, the metronome, and this loop, and you will find that this loop is working with the project's tempo. This is what we can achieve. One of the goals we may have is to reaccommodate a drum loop to its tempo without using all the time stretching and musical mode stuff. So this was a very quick walk through the hit point functionality and how we can use it to reaccommodate drums. In the next example, I will do the same, but quite a bit slower, so it's easier to follow for you. Just a moment, because seems that there are some people interested in following our class, so I'm going to share quickly this link with them. And let me see where to put it. Cubase producers. Oh, perfect. Okay. Now live. Beat making with hit points, courtesy of cubasecourse.com. And just let's take a screenshot of this stuff here so it's a little more visual. Paint, insert. As you can see, the easiest way of making use of the hit point, of making use of Windows, is with its simple tools. So let's save this quickly. Okay, here I made some research on VST Connect. Hit points live. All right, I get it. Here we do have it. Okay, this is new. Okay, I just got it. Okay. Facebook gets worse by the week. This is kind of disappointing, but all right, no problem. So let's release that. And I hope they will permit it. For anybody who's connecting right now to our transmission, I'm here teaching something about beat creation in Cubase. I'm using Cubase 10.5, but actually the working process is the same since several versions ago. And the hit points are actually even part of the Cubase LE version, so you should be able to follow everything without major problem. I'm just going to show you, before I continue recording these clips for cubasecourse.com, what it is I just did. I do have here drum loop, which originally is 80 beats per minute. There is a tool for it which we can use, which is called the beat calculator, to calculate the speed of a drum loop, and it threw out 80 beats per minute in a 90 beats per minute project. So in effect, the loop appears to be long, but with the basic hit point functionality, I can re-accommodate this to the project tempo. And I'm just going to do this quick right here, so you can see what I just did, but this will be just a quick walkthrough. Afterwards, I'm going to do the same thing a lot slower, so you can follow it easily. So to be able to apply the hit point functionality, you have to open the sample editor, and this goes by double clicking it. So here we do have the sample editor. Here up the window we can see its name, and we activate the edit hit point functionality if it's not already active. And as we can see, there appear a lot of vertical and some horizontal lines. I'm going to explain perfectly well what they are doing. So with the help of those lines, I am able to isolate every hit of this drum loop, and I can hear it here. Bass drum, anything, a hi-hat, some kind of tom, snare drum. Here we do have a double beat, so I'm going to lower the threshold a little, and as you can see, it inserted right here this hit point line. It did the same here on the start where it does not belong, so I just have to deactivate it. And I'm just going through the rest of the loop to make sure that there's only one hit on every future slice. And once this happens, I activate the function create slices, because only with create slices I can assure that the loop will reaccommodate to its original tempo. So here we go, create slices. And what we now have here is this container. And this container now is already running in the project's tempo at 90 beats per minute. And to show you this, I activated the metronome here. So as you can hear, the loop is already synced up with the project. Usually our work does not end here. There are a couple of things we have to do to make it really perfect. And there are a couple of things we can do to introduce variations and modifications. And well, everything will be talked about, but now I'm going to show you step by step the hit pointing process. So it's so you get a grip on how this stuff actually works. My name is Roger Schumann. I'm certified Steinberg trainer, work in Mexico, born in Germany. And well, the hit points for me are always a very nice topic, because it gives almost instantaneous results, and is also a very creative tool once we know how to use it. Okay, so let's get back to the hit pointing process. I'm going to record this simultaneously for upload on the webpage you can see on the right lower corner, called Cubase course. So for very little money you will be able to recover and re-see and learn these techniques again once I have taken this video off YouTube. All right. After a quick demonstration of how the hit points work, we are now going in depth to process this loop to make it work in the project's tempo. As we have seen before, with double click we have to open the sample editor, which is this little friend here. And given that you may not have already visible all these lines, I'm going to switch off edit hit points and to make this appear the threshold. There's also here a remove all button, and with this button I actually remove any hit point, which may have been inserted by the software or by myself, because I can also introduce hit points manually. Okay, the idea behind the hit points is the following. I'm going to show it the hard way here on this window. This second loop we do have here, which I will color in red, is in a different tempo from the project. It's a little slower. So this makes it appear longer on the project than it actually is. We have to remember that music usually works in bars and beats and fractions of beats. But this audio clip has a duration in seconds, and what we do see here is its duration in seconds, and with a lower tempo it appears to be too long. So the basic trick of the hit point technology is the following. You make some cuts on certain points, usually where a new beat starts, and afterwards you align those cuts with the grid of your project. So as you can see, I already sliced up manually some of these beats here. I will now activate the grid and put in 1/8 right here and move this clip right to the left. And as I can see, the 1/8 isn't fine enough, so I'm going to put it in 1/16. And as you will notice here, this clip just slipped a little to the left. The same I can do now with every one of those clips. And once I have finished this merely handwork, to say it in some way, to speak semi-German, I will be able, where's the J here, to reconstruct the rhythm on a higher speed. So let's just cut it up right here on these points and line up it again against the grid. And if we listen to this clip now, you can hear that this drum loop, all these red clips, are now actually working in the tempo of the project. Okay, so what I just did was to cut on the transients of the audio and reposition every slice to its assumed position. Now, you can imagine this work is not that hard, but it can be tedious, especially when working with several loops and with longer loops. So we have a semi-automated way, which is called hit points, and we can make exactly the same process with a lot fewer clicks with the hit point functionality. So here is the clip recovered again as one audio piece, and I will now enter by double click and select the hit point tab we do have on the left. Let's be aware that you won't see these tabs if you are using Cubase with the lower zone. I'm personally not a fan of this lower zone, but this is because I'm not working on a laptop. So for laptop users, this might be actually really essential. In this case, the tabs do appear here in the inspector, as you can see. I usually prefer full screen, so you can go full screen with this little arrow. and have it everything on full screen here, which might be easier for you to apply these editing operations. Okay, the next step after selecting hit points is activate edit hit points, and as you can see, the software already detected some. Now, this detection process is not by chance, but it's actually a comparison of volume from an audio section before. If the software finds a peak, which we call transients, it will insert what we call a hit point marker, which we can see here. These markers can be aligned by hand if the software is not accurate enough. You can use it to adjust it by hand this way. All right, so as you can see, you can move it freely between two other hit points and put it in the position you consider the right one. Every hit point you moved or inserted manually will appear with blue color. Okay, let's go a little more to the right. Our goal should be to find a slice, or in every slice only one hit. So we can hear this by playback slice. As you can see, I just have to hover with the mouse over the future slice and make a click. And as you can hear, we do have here a mix of bass drum and a hi-hat. Those two elements cannot be separated because they are sounding at the same moment, and we do not have a spectral analysis here. So this goes entirely on volume. So bass drum and hi-hat here will remain together. We can hear only one beat. This is perfect. Let's go to the next slice. Here we do have another one. Here we do have another one. Also just one, but here we will find ourselves with a little surprise. A very hard snare, and here at the nearly middle of the slice we do have an offbeat. And as this offbeat represents another beat, there has to be a hit point marker. So how we can achieve this? We have two ways to find these markers. One is by lowering the threshold. The threshold is this horizontal line we can hear, which comes from both positive and negative sides. So by lowering it, the software might be able, and usually it is, to find this additional hit points. We can now see here this hit point, which is not exactly where I would like to have it. And we also find one here which does not belong at all, because we already found out that this two slices are actually one. So with shift click, you can delete an active hit point. And as you can see, this will work as one slice now. Now let's go a little more to the right. And here we do have the hit point. The software just inserted. And my recommendation is to put these hit points at the mere transient, or to put it in another way, usually drum sounds are beginning with maximum and go down in an exponential way down to minimum. If we have a bump here where the volume goes up again, this usually means that we have another transient there. So I'm going to move this by hand, as you can see here on this point. And here we can now hear the attack a lot better. than before. So this will be the final position of this hit point. So I just have to repeat all these steps. I can insert hit points by Alt-click. This hit point does not have any sense at all. So with Shift-click I can delete it, just for the sake of having shown it. So Alt-click for inserting it, Shift-click for deleting it. So the next steps should be, if the loop is not too long, to verify every slice and assure that in every slice there's only one hit. This slice seems to have a second hit, but it does not actually. And here we are with the last two. Okay, so now we have put our hit points in the right positions. And what has to be done now is to use the function create slices. If we use create events or create regions, the original tempo of the loop will not taken into consideration. So we have to use create slices. So I select everything by using Ctrl A and create the slices right away with click on the symbol. And now we see here our drum loop, which is already working with the tempo of the project. You may hear in the background the metronome, so you can be sure that this is working as it should. Okay, here just went nuts a couple of dogs. It's because we had a little intruder dog. Unfortunately, in Mexico there are a lot of street dogs, which obviously shouldn't be, but unfortunately a lot of people abandon their animals on the street. And well, I would revoke their right to vote, to be honest, but I think this would be considered kind of radical. Okay, so let's continue with this. Okay, just let's close up my own dog I have here for a moment. Shy? Okay, I'm right back. Obviously, I had to interrupt my recording, so I'm going to name this recording quickly, and later on I will make an editing of it for our page. So this is step by step. And here we continue. You may be hearing the metronome in the background, which is our rhythmical reference, and you can hear that the rhythm, the edited rhythm of this container is perfectly synced up with the metronome, so it does actually work very well within our musical context now. I even can now activate the drum loop I programmed in the former class, but there will be some inconsistencies. As you can see, this beat will be a little early. This can be obviously aligned by hand, but this is not the purpose of this class. Okay, so as you can see, now step by step we made ourselves an audio container here. This container can be opened, obviously, double clicking it. And as you can see here, every slice is available for editing inside this container. So you can still continue editing here. And there are a couple of operations I strongly recommend to apply when you are hit pointing drums. And this will be the topic of the next clip. Okay, so renaming the second part and continuing right away. Okay. Okay, let's continue then, because there are some messages popping up here which I should answer, because there are some people already watching this live. So let's continue. By double-clicking the newly created container, we can access every one of these slices individually. Now, there can be problems at this point, depending on the tempo of the original beat and tempo of the project. What do I mean? If you remember a couple of clips ago, this clip was a little longer because it was replayed at 80% at 80 beats per minute within a project of 90. But with the hit points, we realigned them perfectly. Now, the realignment meant in this moment that some clips are putting themselves over or overlap the end of the former clip. This can be seen by this diagonal bars we do have here. Everywhere there is such an area, we do have actually an audio overlap. These audio overlaps can cause clicks. So it is usually a good idea to eliminate those overlaps. And happily enough, we do have a function for that, which is called delete overlaps. And you will find this in the audio menu in advanced. Here is the delete overlaps option. So I'm going to activate it right now and re-enter, and it does not do anything. What's the reason? I didn't select it. So I just select all the audio here and go back to audio advanced delete overlaps, and now re-entering, I just suffered the same problem. Let me see what the problem is. I guess I shouldn't leave this editor. So let's delete overlaps here, and now we can see that the overlaps are gone. Let's do this again. Control Z. Here we see the overlaps. And now with audio advanced delete overlaps, I just eliminated them. So no overlaps anymore. We just reduce the chance, the possibility of unwanted clicks here. There weren't any in the first place, but to show you the functionality, I just assumed it would. Now, as with every operation within hit points, these are basically editing operations like cutting and moving. So we are still not 100% sure that we are free of clicks, because as you can see here we are lucky the waveform goes just up before the next beat begins, but this does not have to happen always. Here, for example, we do have, let's suspend the grid for a moment. You can see that we are at the half of a waveform. I can even make it a little bit bigger. And this usually generates some kind of click. We may not hear it because the following beat is too strong and it will cover up. But just in case you have this situation and you have any click here, my recommendation is to put a fade out on every one of those clips. Well, you can do this one by one. You have to enter the audio editor anyway, the audio part editor, and you could edit it just like this. Or if you are as lazy as I am, you can select everything and apply a little fade out. We are not affecting the audio too much here, so this should not represent a problem. And we can now hear this loop again, and being assured without any clicks from editing. If you feel that it is too hard cut, you just make sure that the fade out is shorter. Meanwhile there is a fade out, you will find it working very well. Longer fades obviously will eliminate more of the original audio, and if you don't want this, you will have to opt for shorter fade outs. Okay, as you can hear now, no clicks, thanks to delete overlaps and the fade outs. Now, what about fade ins? Fade ins are a complete different matter, because the fade ins can destroy the percussive character of a sound. So you have to be very, very careful if you find a click within a slice. The easiest way to find clicks within slices is by muting any slice but one and listening them individually. And this way you can isolate them by ear quite easy. No click for a moment. So you would do it like I'm just showing. Okay, obviously it makes more sense to do this right from the left to the right. So as you can hear, no problems at all. So we can leave this loop as it is. If you have to apply a fade in I recommend to do it only where it is necessary, manually on every slice. So as you can see, I'm here on this slice, and of course there is this fade handle, and I would just do it as long as it has to be to eliminate the click. As you can see, I just chose a duration of 1 tick. If you change the ruler to seconds, you can also see how many milliseconds this fade would last. Here by fade in. In this case, it would be exactly 1 millisecond, which shouldn't affect too much. So this would be my recommendation if you have clicks on fade-ins or at the very start of an audio clip. So those usually are not applied in a general manner as I did with the fade out, but you do apply them rather individually to avoid elimination of the percussive character. Just for the fun of it, let's listen to this loop where I applied now fade-ins on every slice, and you will hear what I'm talking about. It already adopted more a character of a reverse battery, reverse drum, so I just returned this and have my drum beat back. Okay, as you can see, when using hit points on drum loops, there is quite a chance that we do have to make some post editing to eliminate possible clicks and other kind of errors. And this were just 2 examples of it. The delete overlap function permits us to eliminate overlaps between slices, so there will only sound 1 slice at a time, and this greatly reduces the possibility of introducing clicks. The other way is to apply fade out to every slice. This can be done generally, but carefully depending on the character you are looking for. If you're looking for shorter sounds, you may use longer fades, etc., etc. If you want to remain the original character, you should use very short fade outs, so you are going to process at the less audio necessary. In the next clip I will show you more of these tricks to obtain perfect loops with hit points. Okay, I just stopped recording. I'm going to name it now. This was funny. In a second I will continue. Post editing, delete overlaps, fade out. Okay, let's continue. I hope we can already see this. Let me have a look at the viewer statistics. Not too much. Seems like their Cubase producer homepage is a little slow in this manner, but anyway. Okay, let's continue. There is still a lot to see. I'm going to apply some undos now because I want to show you something which will require different approach to our editing efforts. Fortunately, we do have unlimited undo, so I can undo how many times as I want up to the very end of the project, or the very beginning to be more precise. Okay, let's have a look. As you can see, I just returned to the point where we do have overlaps. These overlaps occur every time we reproduce a loop faster than its original tempo. So its original tempo was 80, but it's now running at 90, as we can see here. So these slices are slipping to the left, overlapping the end of the slice before. Now, what happens if I am reproducing the loop in a slower tempo than the original one? Let's remember that this loop was an 80 beats per minute loop, so I'm going to change that to 70. And as you can see, there are spaces inserted between every slice. This is completely normal. It's just a result of the logical process of our hit points. To make space, to fill the spaces, they just enter here emptiness, literally. So in some situations, this can be heard, and usually it does not sound very good, to be honest. As you can hear, this audio sounds quite edited, and we have to do something about it to eliminate those gaps. And for eliminating gaps, you may have guessed it, we have a function which is called close gaps. So let's select all the audio again and go to the same audio advanced menu, and here we do have two ways of close gaps: close gaps crossfade and close gaps time stretch. In general, we can assume that the crossfade option is less destructive, and it does work better when the tempo change is not too great. But with the bigger the tempo change is, you will find it harder to introduce crossfades. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so let's just explain manually what this crossfade option does, so you get an idea of all this. So let's just paint this to clips. Here's the color tool in orange, favorite color. The fade option does the following: it opens up the clip on the right a little to the left, and it opens up the clip on the left a little to the right. So with enough opening, you should find an area where you can introduce a crossfade. So I'm going to put a crossfade right here, and as you can see now, this beat will last until this point. The function we have in the advanced menu is actually kind of a macro function, so you can apply it to everything. But there is also a trap, which I'm going to explain a little later. As you can see, we just had some wondrous crossfades here, so close gaps crossfade. As you can see, this one is not cooperating too well, so I'm going to make this by pairs. And as you can see, it does not work. Why it doesn't work? Well, the reason is quite simple. I just cut the audio, so there is nothing I could do except do it manually. I'm a bit surprised on this, so I'm going to stop this recording and better investigate what its problem is. So let's just select this and make close gaps. And no, it does not close the gaps. This is unexpected. And what we are seeing here is definitely not what we want to have. So this might be an error of the software, because it usually does only apply the close gaps options between two clips and not crossing several clips. So this is kind of strange, so let's load another loop and try this again. Okay, we're going to use this one. Although I wanted a slower rhythm actually, so we have to go a little back. What tempo do we have at the moment? 70. Let's return to 80. And let's work with the 75. This is way too long. So let's okay, here we go. And let's resume recording. Hopefully this time it will work better. If not, well, I'm just going to show you this inside Cubase 10.6, 10.0.60. Okay. As we could see, while using loops slower than the project, there are overlaps created between the different slices. So if we use a drum loop which is slower than the project's tempo, always we will always find some kind of overlaps. But there is also the chance that we might cause gaps between different loops. I'm just talking like a. Let's just begin this again. I just lost fluidity. Okay. When we are using a loop which is slower than its project in beats per minute, we usually run into some kind of overlaps. we can easily eliminate with the delete overlaps function in the audio advanced menu. Here we do have delete overlaps. But there can also be the case where the original loop is faster than the project, and in that case it has to create spaces between the different slices. So just let's have a look for a 90 beat per minute drum loop here. Okay, this one seems to be good enough. As you can see, we do have this wave symbol here. This means it's musical mode is applied. We don't need this, so we are going to deactivate it right away. So now we are applying the hit points again. This time it will take a little longer because the loop is longer. So opening sample editor, edit hit points, and moving the threshold. Here we can hear two sounds, and we can also see them here. So with Alt we insert a hit point here. Here we have the same situation. Here too, in this position. So I just have to do this for the rest of the loop. As you can hear, with every click I'm checking that the slice is not overly long. Here we do have another one of these examples. Obviously, if you're using the zoom tool, you can adjust it way more precise. And again. And again. Unfortunately, the threshold algorithm does not detect every one of those beats, so I have to do it manually. These all look very nice. And we are arriving at the very end of the loop. This is definitely a task for control freaks. Remember, here we do have two sounds simultaneously. We cannot separate them because they are at the same moment, and the hit point technology works only on a time basis, not on a frequency basis. To separate this, you would need a software like Backbone from Steinberg, which allows you to separate at least noise elements from tonal elements. Well, it appears to be complete and perfectly edited, so I just apply Ctrl A for selecting all and create slices. And now I'm going to cut this loop down so I have less work to do, so I'm just cutting it here and delete the rest. Okay, now as you can see here, this loop was faster than the project, so it had to introduce spaces, gaps between the different slices, and this is actually very logical, but unfortunately also very audible. So let's have a listen to this. You can hear vinyl-like noise on the background, which comes from all the fade outs which are not applied yet. For hip-hop friends, this might be just perfect. For audiophiles, I think it's insufferable. So just a little fade out here, and let's hear it again. Okay, it appears to have actually embedded some kind of vinyl noise, but we have now eliminated at least the possible clicks from the end of every slice. Well, I'm undoing this now because what I want to show you is how to fill these gaps. You can fill these gaps in two ways, and both ways are shown in the audio advanced option. Here we have close gaps crossfade, and here we have close gaps time stretch. In order to make this work, we have to select the audio. So I just selected this bar of drums here, but I maintain this window open, and here I do select it again. Audio advanced close gaps crossfade. What does close gaps crossfade do? It's a very simple function actually. It works this way, that it opens up one clip to the left, the right clip to the left, and the left clip to the right. So it would be something like this. Here you can see as I'm opening up the most right clip to the left, and here the left clip to the right. So we have now an overlap here, which in the former example we were to eliminate, but now I'm going to insert a crossfade here. If I position this correctly, I can actually create very smooth transitions here, and as this is just a fade operation and no destructive operation in the meaning of time stretching, this can give us very good results. Well, it might be something tedious to make this slice by slice, so in theory it should be do this automatically on every slice by audio advanced close gaps crossfade. And as we can see, we do have a major function here because this is not what I was asking to. So I'm going to make a switch quickly to Cubase 10, and let's see how it does work there. Okay, let's save this quickly. Seems that we do have a major function here. I'm not sure if this is because of my computer or because of the newer version of Cubase. In the past it usually worked quite well. So this is Cubase Pro 10 in the former version. If it's not working, I still have Cubase 9 and 8 installed, so I'm going to make it work anyway. Okay, so I'm going to open a new project and I'm trying to find the same loop. Audio files, beats, and we were with 90 beats per minute. Well, this does not even play. Let me see if there's something wrong with the outputs. No, control room is deactivated too. Do I have two Cubase open? No. So, well, I just have to insert it into the project and hope for the best. And here we do have mere silence. This is quite disappointing. Okay, beats me. Honestly, I do not know why this is happening. The routing stuff and everything is going just correctly, and you can still hear me, but we can't hear the Cubase anymore. So this is strange, to say the least. Let's turn off the outputs and turn them on again. And no result at all. Let's hear if there's a click. No, this seems to be a different problem here. So just close this up. And let's go to Cubase 9. One or 2 days ago, I installed the last update for Cubase 10, 10.060, and this is the point where the problems began. So I guess I have to return to the former version to avoid this problem in the future. Or we actually do have a malfunction at hand here, but I'm not the kind of person who usually shouts glitch or bug, because usually these kind of things are mostly user errors. Okay. No sound here either. Okay, and in this case it doesn't even found any audio. Seems that we are with a major problem here. Okay, so let's return to 10.5, and I assume that this 10.5 won't work either now after we have switched between different Cubase versions. Okay, reopen the last project. And it seems that I'm not going to be able to show you this function. And as I anticipated, there is no sound anymore. Okay, this is a major problem which forces me to restart the computer. Just one last try. Yeah, no sound at all. It's quite impressive how this thing sometimes works. So sorry for that. I'm going to reinitiate the computer, and obviously I will have to reestablish the link of the transmission. So if you subscribe to the channel, you will be able to see the continuation of this topic in a couple of minutes. I'll be right back.